She built a 6-month investigation into her boyfriend's supposed affair. She had screenshots. She had dates. She had a witness. She was ready. And then the confrontation revealed something that completely reframed the entire story, and not in the way anyone expected. Elena and Marco had been together for 4 years. By year 3, she'd started having doubts, not from anything specific he'd done, but from anxiety in a previous relationship that had ended in infidelity. She described herself as hypervigilant. She noticed everything, and in that state of heightened attention, she started building a picture that she became convinced was real. The evidence started with a name. A woman named Lily who appeared in Marco's phone contacts. Elena had seen the name when his phone unlocked next to her. She asked about Lily. He said she was a colleague. Elena didn't believe him. She began noting every time Lily's name appeared, in call logs she glimpsed, in a mention at a work event. She began constructing a narrative. Over 4 months, she gathered what she believed was evidence. She photographed his phone screen twice. She tracked his location on days when he said he was working late and verified he wasn't at the office, which he explained as working from a coffee shop, which she didn't believe. She'd spoken to a friend at his company who told her, somewhat ambiguously, that Lily and Marco seemed close. She compiled all of this into a folder. The witness was the key. She'd been at a restaurant and had seen what she believed was Marco with a woman. She hadn't seen Marco's face clearly, but she recognized his jacket. She photographed them from behind. The photo showed a man in a familiar jacket with a woman. She was certain. She had a date, a location, documentation. She scheduled the confrontation. But before she confronted Marco, she did one more thing. She called Lily directly. She'd found Lily's number. She called and said she was Marco's partner, and she knew what was happening. Lily was silent for a moment. And then Lily said something that stopped Elena completely. Lily said, "Elena, we've been waiting for you to call." Lily was Marco's sister, not a biological sister, a childhood friend he'd known since age 7, who he called his sister, who Elena had never met because she'd never been comfortable with his close friendships, and he'd been protecting the relationship from her anxiety. Lily explained that for 6 months Marco had known Elena was investigating him. He'd known from very early on, and he decided to let it play out rather than confront it, because he'd recognized that there was a conversation they needed to have that he'd been avoiding. Marco had been aware of every step of her investigation. The jacket in the restaurant photo was not his. It was a similar jacket worn by a different man. But he'd said nothing when she'd been certain. He'd been watching her build an entirely fictional betrayal from pieces she'd selected because she was looking for confirmation of her fears. Lily said, "He wanted you to get to the point where you couldn't deny what was actually happening. Not an affair. The fact that you don't trust him and you never have." Elena sat with the phone in her hand for a long time. The confrontation with Marco was not what she'd planned. He wasn't defensive. He was sad. He said he loved her and had been watching her pain and her construction and had realized that addressing the symptoms wouldn't fix the root problem. He'd wanted her to arrive at the conversation honestly rather than being ambushed into it. They went to therapy. Not couple therapy initially. She went alone first. What she worked on for several months had nothing to do with Marco. They're still together. She says that's the part that surprises people most. That after 6 months of her building a false case against him, after he watched her do it and made a strategic decision about how to respond, they're still together. She says she understands why people find that hard to process. She says she found it hard too, but she also says it was the most honest their relationship had ever been. The 6 months of false investigation led to the first real conversation they'd needed to have for years. That's the plot twist nobody expected. Chaos as the path to clarity. Was Marco's decision to let her investigate him without intervening an act of love or manipulation? I genuinely can't decide. Tell me what you think.